um, is something that I discovered a couple of days ago, and it's basically a news that I can buy from, I think it was down in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about a 4 year old who shot a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if that's something you'd like to talk about, and just hear your thoughts and opinions.
Mm. Well, I haven't really heard anything about it, so I don't know if I'd have much educated opinion about it.
Right. I mean, like, I guess in your own opinions, with the things you already do know, with things like, kids,
Mm-hmm.
adults, weapons, and things like that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, well, like, I guess since the whole deal with weapons and guns and everything here in the states has
Mm-hmm.
been a big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think this kind of looks like for the people who own guns and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do think that guns are a big responsibility.
Right.
I think that sometimes guns are the only way to defend yourself. So I don't really think a total ban is the answer, but I don't think assault rifles are necessary or a lot of big ammo clips, where they have
Right.
hundreds of rounds. I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah.
I, background checks are necessary. I think you should have to take classes before you own a gun.
Right.
So I think there ought to be a lot of restrictions and a lot of regulations on gun ownership because you can't just go out and drive a car without having
Exactly.
to learn how to do it. I think if you have guns in your house, you need to keep them secured away from children or people who come to visit you who bring their kids or uh, even just visitors. You don't want somebody just finding a gun laying around. So
Right.
um, yeah.
And
So
I
I
I
yeah.
and I personally think that when people are registering for guns and other weapons, I feel like they should be evaluated, uh, not just physically but also mentally. Just because I feel
Right.
like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's normally overseen, and when people oversee things like that, things always go bad because if you're not in the right mind or state,
Mm-hmm. Right.
things things could go out of hand without
Mm-hmm.
any signs. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, let me see if I could give you a little bit of the backstory to what happened, at least a
Mm-hmm.
bit that I remember, and you let me know what you think.
Okay.
So uh, So a while back, I don't exactly remember the specific date or time that it came in, but on the news it said that um, a, a guy, a man, I'm not sure exactly what his age was, but he was an older gentleman. Um, he was driving through a McDonald's drive-through, and he was making an order, and
Mm-hmm.
and I guess either that McDonald's was either busy or something was going on, and the guy um, when he got his order, he just threw a fit of some sort, and I guess he pulled out his gun and started, waving it in the face
Mm-hmm.
of some employees over there,
Uh-huh.
and the police was called. And while that whole situation was going on before the police showed up, I guess the guy had handed the gun to a child who was in the car, and
Mm.
there I heard that there were two kids in the car. I think
Mm-hmm.
one was, I think, 6, and the other one was 4. So he handed a gun to one of the two, and he told them that if the police show up or something, to shoot at them. And
Mm.
I think that that's just messed up, because you're putting your child, you know, in a very bad position. I mean, they're very young. They don't really have that kind of
Right.
mind to make, decisions like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they only do what they're told.
Right. And if it was in Texas, though, you say they have probably the least regulations of
Yeah,
all the states on guns, right? Right.
exactly.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, you probably aren't going to convince anybody there that they need more regulations because they just don't. Nobody. I mean, I just don't think anything's going to change. But I did hear a podcast with a guy who was talking about how if someone comes to his house and the guy or the guys that come to his house are much bigger than him and physically can overpower him, the only way he can defend himself or say I could defend myself is with a gun.
Right,
So, like, that's where I'm like, I get that whole self-defense thing. I just don't think that everybody walking down the street needs to have a gun in their pocket. So
right.
I have a dog who is very protective, and I feel
Right,
safe with him. But if somebody pulls up with a gun, all they have to do is shoot the dog, and then they're in. So
right,
otherwise, I'm safe. But if they have a gun, and I don't, then the odds change dramatically. So in that situation, I just think there has to be common sense, and I just think that we're going totally opposite of common sense and just taking it like way out of context from when those rights or those laws were written that everybody should own a gun, whatever they are. If that was a long time ago when it was just chaos, and it shouldn't be that way, and you shouldn't have an 18-year-old kid who can order some assault rifle off the internet and all these rounds of ammunition and not have any kind of checks and balances for it. And there are ways to get around background checks. My brother, who's very responsible, whatever, wanted to sell his